Hey guys, welcome to another stream. Today we are going to have the 1960 sports car challenge. Sorry for that. So we have had quite a few entries for this one. And I'm looking forward to testing all of them, really. The thing is, of course, there were different approaches to this. We've had people who went a little bit more for a lot of power, lots of huge engines with lots of cylinders for a lot of prestige. We've had cars that used maybe a slightly smaller engine, but as a result get better weight distribution and thus better drivability. I haven't. Hey James, how's it going? Yeah. I will do that. Yes, we've had different approaches to this challenge. By the way, let me just go offline in Steam for a second while automation is going to be booting up. Hey, Elise Peasy, how's it going? So, yeah, we've had different bodies used, although it was mainly 2 or 3 bodies, I would say. It's fine, though. I mean, there isn't that much choice anyway. When you're talking about a 1960 coupe or roadster in game, there isn't that much choice. But I did see a good bit of variety, and I like that. So of course, I'm also gonna show you guys my car. Actually, first I went with a concept with the Corvette body, which is the thing that you see in the thumbnail for the YouTube video. But then I chose to. Hey Steve, how's it going? Then I chose to switch body, and instead I chose a different one. I'm gonna show you guys in a second. And the engine is actually a rather interesting choice as well. You can hear automation, you can't see it yet. Let me fix that. So let me grab my car. Okay, so the first one that I had was this. Just real quick, because this isn't the actual car that I'm going to be driving of my own, because this doesn't drive as well. So you see Corvette body, relatively simple 1960 styling with some vents on the front fenders. It's convertible, and yeah, that's it pretty much. But the other thing that I wanted to show you is that is the what I just called the where is it? The BeamNG.drive coupe. There it is. Yeah, those real lights. So this thing, that is going to be my car. It has a couple of vents on the front fenders as well. It's got nice chrome side mirrors that extend a little bit to the side. A little bit of chrome trimming here as well. And the rear end is relatively simple. But overall, this, British Racing Green, this is a pretty nice color for this, I think. Now I'm also going to show you guys the engine that I chose to go with. It's a 3.2 liter dual overhead cam V6. Makes 245 horsepower. Relatively solid engine. It's got a 4-speed manual, an open diff. It's got sports tires. It's got solid disc brakes all around because I could afford to go with that, thankfully. It's got a luxury interior and a phonograph. It has no power steering. It has standard safety. It has a sort of soft suspension actually, except for the sway bars, which are a little bit stiffer than usual. It weighs less than 1,200 kilograms, but the weight distribution is 53 to 47%. If I were to actually put in some rear seats, even the small ones, actually we're still at 53, 47. How about 2 regular sized? Yeah, then it's 52, 48. So pretty good weight distribution. I'm gonna get rid of these though. The 0 to 100 in 6.6 seconds. 235 kilometers an hour top speed. It's pretty good. Does very well in the market. It's well below the price limit. And that would be my car. So now let's jump into the cars that you guys have built. Let me open this code real quick once again so I can see who made what. The Avalon Venus. If I remember correctly, that should be. Wait. Actually, we have. Yeah, okay. Avalon Venus. That is from. That's from Sedan 57 Chevy, actually. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I like the styling. Very, it's the styling is almost sort of 50s-esque. Well, it's very 50s-esque, but some styling elements that carry over from the 50s to the 60s for sure. It's got a very nice alignment of these chrome bars or whatever you would call them. Gas cap is right there. And yeah, I like the styling. Looks very nice, actually. Like the color, too. The engine is a 4.6 liter, what is it? Single overhead cam V8. It makes 259 horsepower, 396 newton meters of torque. A relatively peaky engine, but if you wanted power in 1960, that's how you had to tune your engine. Yeah, Dr. Love, I'm gonna change the year for you. Sorry, I literally just came back to my PC like 5 minutes before the stream started, so didn't have time to do it yet. I was doing things the whole day pretty much today. We've got an open diff. We've got lots of overdrive on this one. It does very well in the hypercar and supercar category, and actually convertible super as well. Although it does get a penalty here because it's not convertible, obviously. And what do we get? What do we get? Sports tires, 15-inch rims. Disc brakes all around is very nice, although we do have a lot of brake fade. We're gonna see a lot of that though. We've got a semi-clad undertray, no wing angles at all. Are there any aerodynamic fixtures on this? No, I don't believe so. Okay. And then we got 2 seats, sport interior, luxury AM radio. Probably couldn't afford to go phonograph, right? And then advanced safety. +5 quality in the steering rack, I guess. And then standard springs as opposed to progressive. Overall, the car weighs 1,126 kilograms. 58% of that is on the front, 42 is on the rear. That's not awful weight distribution. We'll see how this thing manages to get its power to the ground. It does 0 to 100 in 6.78 seconds. Top speed 214 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good. And what else did I want to check? The price. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, well within the price limit. It did lose a few points in these segments, but not too many. So it's still very good. And did I want to check anything else? No, I don't think so. So far, this is making a pretty good first impression. I'm gonna have to see how this drives. Why do you guys not optimize the cost quality? Oh, hey, Ladafan, sorry, I didn't see that you said hi earlier. So first of all, I think I exported this already, but just to be sure, I'm gonna export it again. And then we had the Avalon Venus, which we're also gonna export right away. We have a lot of entries this time, by the way. This is gonna be fun. Yeah. Oh, random 41. Yeah. So it gets a little bit. I have to start remembering who's who, if you wanna call it like that. The Phaefox Ivory Infiltrator is the next, which was sent by, let's see. Wait, huh? Who was this? Oh, Phaefox. Okay, right, makes sense. So we have the same body that I chose. Also, Phaefox, if you're here, I think I remember you from the old automation forums. So yeah, I like the styling here actually, with the sort of indicators basically looking like rings under the under the main headlights. Nice bonnet arrangement. Nice taillights as well. I like them. Yeah, looks good. And under the bonnet we have a 270 horsepower 4-liter V12. It makes a lot of power, good torque. Not incredibly peaky, but again, if you do want power in 1960, you do you're not gonna get a lot of bottom end torque as well. Like that's just not gonna happen. It's got a 4-speed manual, open diff, sports tires, steel rims, solid discs all around, no under tray, handmade interior, and then the phonograph. And then advanced 50 safety. Progressive springs. And very, very soft suspension, except for the front sway bar. It is right underneath. It is right on point with the cost. And it's extremely good in the hypercar market. Yeah, so far this car is looking pretty good as well, I have to say. The weight distribution of 55-45 is good. 270 horsepower is of course also good. But we'll have to see how this puts it to the ground in Beam, because that is always kind of an issue. That is always an issue. Now, while this is exporting, I'm gonna mute myself for just a second because my nose is kind of running. Okay, I'm back. By the way, I had forgotten to put in-game sounds on as well in OBS. So next up would be the Pigeon Roadster, Pigeon V8 Roadster. Let me see who that's by. That is by Hybridtronic. Okay, yeah, the looks, I kind of feel like if you make the headlights this small on this body with the holes already cut out, I don't like. I think it makes the car look kind of goofy. It's not an elegant look in my opinion. I mean, it's fine, but if they were a little bit larger, I think it would look a little bit better. That is pretty nice arrangement here. That's the badge here. Okay. Then some chrome side mirrors, chrome door handles, chrome fuel cap. And relatively simple rear end design, but it works. The wheel covers are also the same green as the body, so this looks rather good, I would say. Under the bonnet we have a 270 horsepower 3.6 liter V8. It is a single overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder setup. Yeah, I actually... Again, this doesn't really have that much bottom end torque, but it should be okay, because the car is fairly light. Only weighs 1155 kilograms, but 58% is over the front. Makes me think of the Datsun 240. Kind of, yeah. It also only has one mirror, so that's also pretty common in 1960, of course. It still only have one mirror, so that's fine. 4-speed manual, open diff. Sports tires 200mm all around. Solid discs. Wait, they're 325s front and rear. That's gonna be an interesting brake balance, actually. No under tray. Sport interior, standard radio. So the prestige isn't gonna be as high as it was on some other cars, I think. And then advanced 50 safety, progressive springs, and actually, yeah, the dampers are softer, but everything else is completely standard. And it only costs 31,400, but it doesn't do that well on the market. Maybe it drives well, though. We're gonna have to find out. First impressions, maybe a little bit weaker than the other two, but still should be a fairly solid car. Lada's also only had one mirror. Yeah, sure. A lot of cars didn't have two mirrors back in the day. Next up is the RB Type S 4000S. Let's see who made that. That is by Random41, yeah. How many participants did you get? I didn't count, honestly. It was quite a lot. So, this car looks good, in my opinion. I think this is one of those designs that is very 1960. The small indicators, the big mouth, the big round headlights, a little bit of chrome here. Oh, it's actually, you can see through these onto the engine, which kind of looks like, almost looks turbocharged, but of course it isn't because turbos don't exist in 1960 in the game. At least when you look at it from inside. When you look at it from above, yeah, you can clearly see it's not turbocharged. But you can also see that it is a space frame construction. I like the color as well. I really like it. The sort of matte dark blue. The rear end is relatively simple. Tiny little indicator here, little reverse lights here, and the brake lights in between. Russo Bolt Sport 4000. Yeah, I like it. I think as far as the design goes, you did a pretty good job. Why did everyone take the same body? The same body, you probably mean. I took that body as well, actually. We're gonna see a lot more with the Corvette body as well, I think. But yeah, aesthetically, I like this car. Let's see what the engine is gonna be. It is a 4-liter dual overhead cam 2-valve per cylinder V12, making 312 horsepower, revving to what, 7,500 RPM. And I feel like this is gonna struggle putting its power to the ground. It does do 0 to 100 in 5.9 seconds according to automation. Actually, the top speed, is that intentional that it only goes 199? It's intentional, okay. And then 225s on the front, 265s on the rear on 17-inch rims. That's maybe not quite what you'd see in 1960, but I'll let it go. Wow, the brake bias, 71% front, 29% rear. And then no under tray, lots of rear wing angle. Do we have anything on the rear? Yeah, we do actually. A tiny little thing here. Yep, indeed. Nothing on the front though. Luxury interior, phonograph, +1 quality, and +15 quality in here. That's a very stiff front sway bar and very soft on the rear. Ride height is relatively low. No front camber, -1 degree rear camber. And then the 50%, it costs almost exactly 40 grand. It is extremely competitive in the hypercar market, in the supercar market as well, and in the convertible sport market, even though it's not a convertible. So yeah, this makes a really good first impression, because I like the way it looks. The engine is gonna be a little bit of a question mark as to how this behaves in Beam, because it has basically no torque at all in the lower RPMs, and all the power comes in at the very top of the rev range. But that might actually help with putting down the power. Who knows? The open diff helps in corners. Yeah, I found that as well. Because with the locking diff, there is no way of not spinning the tires in the corners. We have the Sportive Agente, which is by Carlo Vincenzetto, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this again, these headlights are a little bit bigger than the ones we've seen before, though. In these holes, I also like the little intake in here, followed by the bonnet hump with the 2 vents on the side, and then we have like hood latches here, I guess those would be. So it would open up this way, so it would open up forwards. I like the overall look of the front end. Nice little detail here. The rear end is... I mean, it's fine, but I think we've seen better rear end so far. There's nothing wrong necessarily with it, but it doesn't, you know, blow me away. The headlights are black. Anyway, we have a 4.2 liter, what is it? V12? Direct acting OHC, 258 horsepower, 363 newton meters of torque, with a slightly restrictive exhaust, actually. Yeah. I don't know why that's too small. You could have made it bigger to get a little bit more power. Do the comments fade on his end? Why? He knows my previous comment. A bit too modern, if you ask me. The headlights are... yeah, I'm trying to read, but it's actually... We're a decent amount of people here, and I'm not used to the chat actually being active that much. The 240Z didn't show up until 6970, so I think it's funny so many of these cars are started like them despite being 1960. Yeah, I would actually agree with that. But you know, the shape is very classic 1960 as well. This is the way that the E-Type look. This is the way that the DB5 looked roughly. This is kind of the way that the C2 Corvette was shaped. You know, this is very classic. The Jaguar E-Type was still a year away. No, it actually came out in 1960, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, this only weighs 1,054 kilograms, but 60% of that is over the front. So putting the power to the ground would be a little bit difficult, I think. We do have an automatic locker, which is going to be interesting in the corners. We're gonna have sports tires, solid discs all around, semi-clad under tray, a phonograph, standard 50 safety, and then standard springs. Also very close to the 40 grand budget, doing pretty well in Hyper and Super. Overall, this looks like it could be pretty good, but I'm gonna be interested to see how this is going to drive in Beam with the automatic locker. Now, I'm actually not 100% sure if I remember to export this. I think I did, but just to make sure, I'm gonna do it again. It's gonna, if it's already in Beam, it's gonna override itself anyway. So we're not gonna see it twice in Beam, regardless. Okay. Next up, the BeamNG.drive Coupe. Oh, wait. Okay. Next up, Cobra Venom V8 rear-wheel drive. The Cobra Venom was by... Let's see, who is this? By Bula 101. So that is a very modern sort of paint, isn't it? With the sort of purple pearlescent on the silver paint. I don't think that this would fit that well into 1960. Paint colors were a lot simpler back then. TVR paint, yeah. Wait, although that does raise an interesting idea for a challenge. You have to build a car for 1988, but instead of choosing model year 88, you have to pick an earlier year that is dependent on how long your engineering time is. That would require me to do a lot of math, though. Anyway, relatively simple front-end design, a grille, some headlights, indicators, and a scoop, and two little vents here. A vent here with a side indicator. The fuel cap. Rear end, again, relatively simple, small lights. Yeah, it's okay, I think, as far as the styling goes. Let's look at the engine. We get 225 horsepower from a 4-liter V8. It is a dual overhead cam 4-valve per cylinder engine. It's got 4 barrel carbs. a reverse flow muffler. Let's see what else. Engineering time is displayed in months. In automation, though, just divide by 12. Yeah, of course, but what you know, if the car, for example, this one, let's round it up to 30, the engineering time, that's 2.5 years, right? And the engine is 39.3, which is a little bit over 3 years. Do you add those together? Or does it mean that the engine, or does it mean that the engine takes longer to develop, thus the car can't be produced until the longer, until later or whatever? I don't know what that means. So that's my problem there. So we have an open diff. We don't actually have that much wheel spin. We got some sports tires with +2 quality. We got solid discs all around. Engine and trim are engineered separately. They're not just... Yeah? The larger of the two, as they are designed at the same time. Yeah, good point. No under tray. Sport interior, premium AM radio, so the prestige is gonna be a little bit lower than on some of the other cars. We have no power steering and only standard safety. But I guess the money went elsewhere. You look at those +7 points on the brakes. That might make it fairly good on the track, but we'll have to find out. That is a very aggressively tuned suspension setup. 1.04 G in 1960. Now that sounds pretty good if you ask me. But can it keep the traction up? Is the big question. It has 1,072 kilograms, which is light. 57% of the weight is up front. 43 on the rear. So the weight distribution is... it's okay. Example, the engine takes 12 months. The car takes 18, and the car takes 18 months. Engine will be sitting here ready for half a year. Yeah. Okay. Markets. This is at 37,200. Again, fairly decent scores in Hyper, Super, and Convertible Super. Pretty much as expected. That was the Cobra Venom. We have the Thompson TV12, which is by, let's see, where is this? Oh, okay, by Sergeant Snoopy. Okay. We've seen this body before, I think. So this is... I think this looks fairly aggressive for a 1960 design. It kind of looks like a rally car from the time, you know, with the secondary big set of headlights. Then it has some more headlights here. It has these hood latches. It's got some vents and a big bonnet hump. It's got windscreen wipers made of those antennas, of course. Vents. Some side vents. Side pipes, a side pipe exhaust as well. So this is a pretty... Apart from the rear end, I would say, apart from the rear end, it is a very, you know, a car that screams, you know, sport or race car. The rear end is, you know, looks more subtle, more elegant. But everything else about the car screams performance, really. Hey hey level 100 egg. The rear end is a bit hard to work with on that car. I think it's okay. With the amount of options you have. Anyway, engine. 3.4 liter direct acting OHC V12. Aluminium as well. And then we have 234 horsepower, 305 newton meters. On actually a relatively okay torque curve. Still, obviously it's a relatively small engine. Not a whole lot of torque. But, you know, too much torque would kill the rear tires on this anyway. What is that gearing? I don't know if that's intentional. Is the front grille functional? Almost. Yes, it is. But anyway, this gearing... Yeah, well, that's gonna be interesting, actually. We have sports tires 235s all around. And then solid discs all around. 70% brake bias on the front, 30% rear. We do have positive downforce on both ends. Oh yeah, there is a lip here. And then there is something here. Yeah, right there. Yo, we heard you liked first gear, so we gave you a first gear that lasts forever. Yeah. The Dodge Viper, I don't know about the current gen, but the previous... Well, let me rephrase it. I don't know about the last gen Viper that went out of production. But the ones before that had a first gear that went to like 100 and a little bit kilometers an hour as well. But that car has torque. That engine is so torquey. Whereas this, yeah. But it's okay. We'll see how this drives. Sport interior, luxury AM radio. +9 quality here, huh? No power steering, standard safety. Hypercross at first gears for 200 for the 0 to 100 time. Yeah, like the Lamborghini Murcielago has it, for example. I mean, it's not technically a hypercar by today's standards, of course. But it is still a very, very fast car. Yeah, very good suspension setup, I think. Corners very well. Just under 40k. Does extremely well in Hyper and Super and Convertible Super. You'd still get pussy with a Murcia though. Yeah, that for sure. You know what other car was geared to that first gear, ended at 100 times now. The 1981 Cadillac Coupe de Ville with 140 horsepower, 6-liter V8. And how many speeds did it have in its gearbox? 3? Maybe even only 2? 3 or 4? Slush box, okay. Free, yeah. Here's the Corvette 554 GTD series. Now that car was made by who? That is by Dolinho Voador. Sorry, I can't pronounce that name very well. Anyway, I like the front. Very sort of elegant looking. Not the most aggressive look, but very classy, in my opinion. Only one mirror, as was the case for a lot of cars back then. Nice side details. It's a convertible, so... And I like the rear end as well. Could use a little bit more, maybe if this whole arrangement here was a little bit bigger and wider, it would look a little bit better in my opinion. But overall, I like the design. Looks good. Let's check out the engine. Here we have a 2-liter 4-valve per cylinder dual overhead cam Boxer 6. This thing's gonna sound really good in Beam. And the torque curve is rather predictable, so there isn't... Like, there really isn't much torque, because it's only a 2-liter. But what torque it does have is fairly linear. So that should make it very drivable in Beam. And remember, you know, we've had cars with over 300 horsepower in 1960. You know, this is more along the lines of what a 1960 sports car would be. You know, 100, what was it, 159 horsepower. That's easily enough to make it a sports car in 1960. Bulletproof transmission. Have you heard of this CF GS6-35BZ? That's the exact opposite. 5.0 80 first gear in a diesel. Okay. Back to this car. We've got a 4-speed manual and open diff. Sports tires, 190s on the front, 195s on the rear. 16-inch steel rims, of course. Solid disc all around. 50-50 brake bias. No under tray. Sport interior, basic entertainment. So prestige isn't this car's strong suit. We've got advanced safety. We've got standard springs. And overall a fairly soft suspension setup. But not that much roll angle. This comes in at only $24,654. So this is this is a very cheap car. You can easily afford to go with like a phonograph here, probably. See what that changes. Makes the car only 40 kilograms heavier, where it was very light to begin with. But the Prestige would go up to like 33 instead of 26.8. But the car is very light, 863 kilograms. 55% of that is on the front, 45 was on the rear. I think this would be fairly interesting, because while this is a lot less powerful than any other car, it is also a lot lighter. But I'm gonna be curious how this is gonna drive, because it is so light. The weight distribution is actually fairly good, and while it doesn't have the most power, it is very light, and should be fairly well balanced as well. So there's the White Panther V12. Let's see who that was made by. That was by Pigeon. At that price, they should have gone more of the base sports category rather than super and hyper. Okay, and it's about prestige. Okay, so this is a lime green coupe. A pretty fancy color. I feel like the grille should have been a little bit longer, so that it goes, so that it ends where the chrome bar ends. It's sticking out on either side makes it look a little funky, in my opinion. Overall, the design is fairly simple, except for the rear end, where we've got quad exhausts, some vents here. I don't know what this is for. I guess it's only got a single reverse light. And I mean, looks aren't this car's strongest suit, in my opinion. But the engine is rather interesting. It's a 2.7 liter quad cam V12 with 4 valves per cylinder. $292 horsepower from a 2.7 in 1960. Yeah, 94 cam profile, +1 quality, +1 quality in here. DCOE, of course, long tubular headers. So this is another engine where it's going to be interesting to see how this puts the power to the ground. It's got an open diff, sports tires, of course, solid discs all around, no under tray, the best possible interior, with only 2 seats, of course, no power steering, standard safety, and then a relatively soft suspension setup all around, except for the front camber, which is, you know, just crazy. Let's see, with 50% we're at nearly $39,000, so that's fine. This is another interesting one. It weighs 975 kilograms, which is also very light. It has 58% on the front, 42% on the rear. And yeah, that is going to be rather interesting. I like the single reverse light. It perfectly fits the era. I don't know. Cheaters who have V16s but didn't use because of weight and price. Mine drives like a boat, literally. I have a Boxer 6. Done like a 2.5 V16, rode to 8 grand. For a smooth engine, you want a really small one. Big bore and stroke engines run a bit like tractors. For the smoothest possible engine, you want a small engine with the lowest possible stroke, and the bore can be a little bit higher, but you know, basically the engine is smoother if the stroke isn't too large, because then the engine doesn't have to move up and down as much, which, you know, shorter movement makes for less vibrations, basically. Unhold Superchrome V16 Special. That is by Elise Peasy. And the BN race car you saw there was what I would have liked to submit to Bashar Nasri's race car challenge, but I didn't finish it, and today I didn't have any time at all to work more on it, so I missed the deadline. Anyway, that's a nice looking car. Lots of chrome as well everywhere. It is a huge car though. It is massive. And it's heavy. I like the way it looks though. Like, honestly, this is one of the most elegant designs I think we've seen. That's a late 50s car though. Yes, someone used this body. Yeah, yeah, I like the look, honestly. It looks very classy, very elegant. Maybe a little bit big for a sports car, but it does have a V16, a 6.4 liter V16 to be honest, or to be precise. And it's a single overhead cam, 2 valve per cylinder setup, and this does have torque down low, unlike pretty much anything else we've seen. But what more would you expect from a 6.4 liter V16, if not torque? Like, it does actually use only 92 RON. That's interesting, because you could have gone with 98, gotten a little bit more power, and also reverse flow mufflers. You could have changed the mufflers as well, just to make it score a little bit better in sportiness and whatnot. It's got a 4-speed manual, open diff, 215 medium tires all around. God, medium tires. 325mm drum brakes all around. Oh, good lord. But it's got a handmade interior and a phonograph with advanced safety. No rear sway bar stiffness at all. It's a very soft suspension setup. We have 10.8 degrees roll angle. I think that's about the most I've ever seen. If you had the loud power steering of the thrown together an American competitor to these little sports cars, like 6.5 liter V8 with 1 million horsepower. Anholt's modularity program added to 92 RON. Lore reasons. Drums. Cost cuts. What is the price, by the way? With 50%? Yeah, it's 39,650, so can't really afford to go disc brakes. 1955 release does not have discs yet. That is true, but you know, as the new tech comes out, you can add it to some of the more some of the newer trims in your lineup, right? That does make sense, doesn't it? That has been done in real life as well. I wanted to use drums so badly, but the Fate couldn't even get me through a single lap on the track, even when they were just rear drums. Originally 65k with a better interior at 100%. Okay. This is gonna be interesting, because it weighs 1825 kilograms, but even so, with the massive engine, 60% is on the front. So it is probably not gonna score very well as a sports car. But that's okay, it looks very good. Have to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, it's a facelift model basically. The facelift could have disc brakes. I don't see any problem with that. Lower wise. You have the prestige. That is correct. Actually, before we head over to Beam, I'm gonna check out everyone's prestige as well, just to compare. Then we have the Pegasus Super 8, which is by Ryan Stecken, aka Steve, I guess. Here we go now. Okay, we've seen this body before. I like what you did with the indicators here. It's a very creative use of these. Those are the antenna fixtures, right? The sort of shark fin antennas. Actually, no. Yeah? Looks very nice. Yes. Very British, puts on monocle. And British racing green as well, of course. Only one mirror. And that is going to be on the driver's side because, of course, as a British sports car, the driver would be sitting on the right side. I like this arrangement for like a rear wheel carrier or whatever. Like you could put a spare wheel on that or something like that, or other extra luggage that he couldn't fit in a trunk. I would have preferred the rear lights to be a little bit further inwards. But even so, it still looks good. And I think it's a very classy design. I like it. It's not possible. I think it's possible. But anyway. I might be wrong. I haven't built a car with this particular body in a while, but I know that it's possible in a larger version of this body. Engine. So this is a 3.2 liter dual overhead cam 2-valve per cylinder V8 with a relatively smooth torque curve, but that has the effect of not making too much top end power, so it only makes 160 horsepower. But that might be a good thing, because all the super powerful cars are gonna have problems putting that power to the ground, whereas this should be much better at that. It has an automatic locker with a 4-speed manual gearbox. It's got sports tires. It's got solid discs all around. Semi-clad under tray, premium interior and entertainment, and then advanced 50 safety, again 15 quality in here, then progressive springs, very soft suspension setup all around. How much does this cost? Just above 30 grand. It does very well in convertible super, in super and in hyper. Not as well as some of the other cars, but this is one of those cars that I think would drive relatively decently because it's so light. I mean, we've had lighter cars, but with this fairly small engine, I think with the good torque curve, it should be fine. On the 2.6 meter version it is, but not on a 2.2 meter, okay. Which also doesn't allow, simply doesn't allow. Okay. Always been like that. Next up, I have to change the year on this one. I didn't get to it yet. So we have to change this back to 1960. And we have to go to the engine year, make it 1960 as well. Is it knocking now or anything like that? Let's see. No, it isn't. Okay. Now the design here is very simple. It's really only a central grille and some lights in the badge. And some hood vents, I guess. It does have a lot of badges on it. Or are these also sort of vents? It does have dual mirrors. The rear end is again very simple. Two very small exhausts. Yeah, and black rims on an orange body in 1960. I think, you know, aesthetically, we've seen stronger entries in my opinion. But maybe it drives well. Engine variant here, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that change anything? Yeah, it did result in less power. So let's see. We have a 3-liter Boxer 6. Boxer 6, yeah. Dual, single overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder. Piston and Conrad are sort of struggling with the torque of this engine because you only have cast ones. We have an automatic locker on the 4-speed manual. We have sport tires, very small front ones compared to the rears anyway. Not compared to real life 1960s cars, but compared to the rear ones, they're very small, or narrow at least. And then solid disc brakes all around, no under tray, sport interior, premium entertainment with a rear bench. And then no power steering, no traction control, or no traction aids at all. Advanced 50 safety, and let's see about the price. It is again very cheap actually, less than 30 grand. At 20.4 reliability. In the front it has a bandit, in the back window it's an emblem, okay. You mean if I click this I can export? Yeah, I know, but this doesn't. This in the past, or like doing it from here, has in the past crashed my game, so that's why I always go and do it from the main menu. My inspiration was the Duff and Spiker from the Netherlands. Duff is a really simple car. Yeah, that is correct though. Those weren't sports cars. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Well, the Spiker is. The Duff is certainly not a sports car. Guess the engine took inspiration as well. 206 horsepower. It's not bad actually. It is probably about as much as any car here can handle, if not more. If not more than that. 56% front, 44% rear. Weight distribution is relatively okay. Not too bad. Anhalt is a mix of Citroën, Volvo, and some other brands. Okay. The Doves were famous for their ability to go as fast in reverse as forwards. Yeah, the Variomatic CVT, exactly. That was a unique thing back in the day. Oh, and black rims because I forgot to change them. Ah, it's fine. And then we have the Face Marbella. That was sent in by, let's see. That is by Sepasek. Oh, that's another name that I remember from the old automation forums. Pop-up headlights. Were those a thing yet in 1960? Anyway, we've got a hood intake and some vents on the side of it. Nope, those are late 70s, yeah. I guess early 70s as well already. Some cars at least. I like the color, but it's too modern with the flake and whatnot. Should be a little bit more matte in my opinion. It's too shiny for a 1960. And on the rear, I think there is a little bit too much chrome, honestly. It's not a bad look. It's just a little bit, you know, it's a little bit too much, in my opinion. Let's check out the engine. We have a 4.3 liter dual overhead cam 4 valve per cylinder V8, making 338 horsepower and 420 Newton meters. Extremely aggressive tune, like nobody home in the low RPMs where people are gonna drive it on the road. 70 cam profile. Actually not that much fuel mixture. Long two-roller exhausts. Corvette did it. The Corvette in 63, oh really? Front bumpers remind me of the 2000 GT, yeah. My car as a whole sells as a luxury boat. It's not supposed to be a sports car, yeah. But we'll see. Maybe that makes it more drivable than all the others. Back to this car: 4-speed manual, open diff. Sports Star is 250mm all around. Solid discs all around. 190 only on the rear. No under tray. We do have a little bit of rear downforce from what? Oh. There's something here, isn't there? No? Anyway, if you have a wing anywhere, it unlocks the arrow, yeah. Luxury, interior and entertainment. No power steering, advanced safety, progressive springs. 1.07G. And then on the spot with the price. 191.5 hyper, 170 super, 160.4 convertible super. Now, there's a couple of things I don't like about this car. First is the looks. For 1960 at least. Pop-up headlights were just not a thing yet. I'm not a huge fan of what you did to the silhouette of the car either. And the rear end has a little bit too much chrome for my taste. And then the engine is extremely peaky. Doesn't really have any torque whatsoever. And then, you know, 250s on the tires is pushing it a little bit as far as realism goes with 1960. But we're talking about a game here. This isn't real life. I actually think this is one of the better styled cars. It's very unique and different from every other car using this body. And that is correct. But it being different, I mean, it's good. It's good in some ways. It's maybe not as good in other ways. I think it's more 63 to 65 than 1960, but it's better than a lot of the early 70s style 240 clones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I took my original Super clone, made it the interior was to fit the budget and entered it. Yeah. Pretty much what you did, yeah? And then La Belge La Reine is the last car we have. That is by Brisket. Okay. Extremely long nose. Yeah, that is a rather different approach to the styling of this body. Also, like, this red is so bright. Has quite a bit of flake as well. The rear end is fine. The front is... it takes some getting used to, let's put it that way. Also, the rear mirrors that extend very far out. And then let's get to the engine, shall we? It's a 6-liter, what is it, dual overhead cam, 4-valve per cylinder V12 with 422 horsepower. Let me ask you this: how are you gonna put that power down in 1960 with an automatic locker, perhaps? But we'll see about that in BeamNG. 4-speed manual, 245 sports tires on the rear. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna be able to put that power down. Solid discs all around. No under tray. Handmade interior, premium radio. Advanced safety. Progressive springs. Very stiff rear sway bar. Yeah, the rear end is gonna step out at any possibility that it's gonna get, and it's gonna get many. As far as price, very close to the 40 grand mark. It does do well in hyper and super and convertible super, but yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about how this is going to go with a 63 to 37% weight distribution. Yeah. A drift car before drifting was a thing. Actually, they already used like the handbrake in order to turn in better in like the 1910s and 20s in races. So that was way before, you know, quote unquote drifting, as we know it today, was a thing. So they did that on purpose already. mind, of course, that the handbrakes back then were a lot less strong than they are today. So you didn't spin instantly when you pull the handbrake. So let's see how many entries we actually have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What is the highest prestige? I see 51 here, 49, 57, 50. 49. Yeah, 51 is the highest. My car has 42. It's 42.5 to be precise. Yeah, that is gonna be it for the automation part. Now we're gonna check out how everything drives in BeamNG. No drifting competitions, obviously. No, not in the 20s. At least I want something. Oh, wait, give me a second. Okay. Now I gotta make beam large again. Switch over. Yeah, right. Free roam. I'm gonna, since these are sports cars, I'm gonna test them on the automation track. And we'll see how they drive. Most of them are gonna probably be pretty scary because they're light and very powerful and have basically no traction because it's 1960. And yeah, that's gonna make for a pretty interesting combination. Tire pressures, yep. Gotta remember to change those. I gotta do that on every single car individually, right? It's not like I can just do it once and then it applies to all cars, right? Yeah. Vehicle config, tuning. Let's agree on a number, right? Let's agree on like 20 psi. Right, apply. Wait, why does this have a flat plane V8? That's not correct. Did I miss the labels? Yeah, you did. I didn't. I did review it. I don't know why this sounds like a flat plane V8 now. I guess I'm gonna take it though. not drive till the belch. I mean, that's what a sports car is there for. It's there to be driven. So I am gonna drive them all. Yeah, no ABS hurts on the braking there. I actually should get into the habit of not braking with 100% force, because that actually is... And that actually is still very well possible without a wheel, even if you just have a controller. This goes fairly well, actually, for a car that's not super powerful. See, you brake with less than 100% and you don't knock the brakes up. So are you not gonna drive the SuperConvey since it's technically not a sports car? Yeah, I mean, I am gonna drive it because you submitted it, obviously. So don't worry about that. Okay, let's jump into the first car. Which would be actually, yeah, let's go by alphabetical order. Anhol SuperConvey V16. Is the engine on? Ah, yes it is. Vehicle config. Let's set both to 20. Apply. And see how this goes. Brake early for the turns, yeah. But yeah, this has the torque. You do have to brake early, but man, this rolls so much. The body roll in this, like you can see that this car is not made to be driven like this. Sway bars weren't really a thing back then, so I did not bother putting any. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're kind of right, but this is like this wobbles around a lot. I lifted there intentionally, by the way. We do have to go through this relatively slowly. I mean, if you do brake early enough with this, and you do have to brake very early, Okay, that was maybe a little bit too early there, but... It's very easy to drive, actually. The body roll looks funky, but doesn't actually hurt the way the car drives that much. It's predictable. Yeah, there I braked a little bit too late, didn't I? Actually, may have been fine. And the weight of the car makes it you know, not necessarily that fast, but also it's just lazier. The rear end doesn't like snap out of line like it does on a lot of lighter cars. So you have a lot of time to counter steer, which makes it very easy to control. Overall, it's not bad, man. Doesn't really give you sports car vibes, but it is very, very easy to drive. Which we may not be able to say about a lot of other cars. Hey, Puginus. $20 and 20. We're gonna do the same top pressures for everyone, by the way, because just hold on. Minus the Royd Panther. Yep. It is indeed. That drove beautifully. Yeah, it did. Yeah, the brakes on this are much better. I braked way too early there. There I short shifted. Way higher cornering speeds than the last car we had, but that is to be expected because this is, you know, about 800 kilograms lighter. Still, all things considered, very, very well balanced, this one. And a lot faster down the straight here. Did not have to lift off that much. It does want to throw the rear end around when you brake hard, which is also what my own car does a lot, and what I think a lot of other cars will be doing. Make sure you check the front turn signals on the... okay. Mine kept spinning on the braking until I got the right weight distribution. Yeah. This drives well, honestly, I have to say. It's very well balanced. You do have to adapt your driving style to the to a 1960s car, really, because no ABS, no power steering, you know, very little traction from the tires that you have. Okay. And now let's turn them off again. See what's different here. Yeah. I mean, that's about what I expected. Okay, but this is a good car. It feels more sporty. It feels more agile than a Supercone, of course, because it's like 800 kilograms lighter. But apart from that, it still does have fairly good traction. Of course, there's some wheel slip. That was to be expected, though. And yeah, I like it. Next up, the Cobra Venom. Man comes for your interest. I did the slingshot at Supercon at 90 once and got 200 Shingo points. Ramped the guardrail, yeah. That's exactly why I slowed down before it. Let's go down to 20. 20. See what's what. Sort of halo, like on the current Challenger, yeah. Not really 60s. How would you manufacture them? Install one light in front of the other. That shouts Shaggyar. It feels quick. I've gotten used to not braking at full force in these cars, which reduces the amount of locking by a lot. Like I rarely lock up the brakes now that I don't brake at full force. I have to brake earlier as a result, of course, but makes the cars a lot less likely to spin under braking. This is fast. Yeah, this car feels faster than the other cars so far. Actually, not that much faster than the previous one down here. Very easily makes it through here, flat out. Let's try and not lock up the brakes once again. Drives very well. It feels very eager, very agile. And since I've learned how to drive these cars, especially when it comes to how to brake with them, I kind of like this one a lot, actually. Now, design-wise, it's not my favorite. But I can't feel like very much understeer at all, if any. Yeah, this one feels pretty damn solid. Like, I have to say, I'm still not sold on the looks that much. But as far as how it is to drive, it's very good. It'll be complicated, but okay. Yeah. So like stacking one light on top of the other, yeah, it would be a little bit complicated for 1960, but it could be done. Here's our Dutch car. We do have a locker diff. Let's lower the tire pressure. Apply. And lock the diff. Again, very quick. Boxer 6, yeah. And here's the locker diff doing its thing. Kicking the tail out at any opportunity. Even here. And especially here, of course. When it goes though, so this feels very fast in a straight line actually. Sounds angry, I love it, yeah. Actually, down here, down the long straight, it's not faster than any of the previous cars either, at least not by a meaningful amount. Flat through here. Brake too early. I'm really gentle with the throttle because if I'm not, then the car is gonna break loose. With, whoa, even there. With, yeah, I saw that one coming. This isn't necessarily a bad car. The bad thing really is how automatic lockers are implemented in Beam, and that you know, the rear end, the rear tires just break loose at any opportunity. Well, even here, and that is what can cause some problems if you're not careful. So in this case, I think in this challenge, turn the locker off. Yeah, I mean that's always a possibility. But why would you put a diff on there and then not use it? Not that bad, yeah, of course. But I was being extremely careful with this thing as well. So if you're not, then you're gonna end up spinning this thing over and over and over. Let's check out the Fase Marbella GTS. You could use it in inclement weather, but then that makes even less sense because you're gonna lock up the rear tires even more easily. Come on, get 20, thank you. Oh, when doing drag racing, I guess so, yeah. Very long gearing, apparently. Very fast too. And very wrong brake balance apparently. I've gotta be telling you guys that I'm extremely gentle with both throttle and brake inputs, and yet still this car wants to break loose on me at any given time. You know, entering a corner, exiting a corner. Well, I guess not in this. I shouldn't have said anything. It is very fast, but not the most drivable, I have to say. Like, in a sports car you want to be able to use all of it, and you cannot use all of this because it's just gonna kill you. Yeah, I'm being careful with this, and I'm still having a hard time keeping it steady. Time to play the mandatory if there was no copyright. Soul Boss Nova. True Italian sports car then. That was maybe like 20% throttle on the way out there. Yeah, it wants to get away with it wants to get away everywhere. So not the best, not the most drivable car here. Very fast, but not that drivable. Let's check out the Corvette's 554 GTD series next. A perfect car for those of you who like to live dangerously. Exactly, yeah. Tuning. 20 psi and 20 psi. Whoa, the brake balance on this one is off as well. Italian approach to safe cars, good hospitals. Yeah. Yeah, this does start sliding under braking, even though I'm not pushing the brake pedal very hard. So the brake balance on this one is very off. We've had better braking cars. Is it rear engine? No, it doesn't. No, it isn't. Sorry. It's not particular. It's not, you know, the fastest down here. It's about on par with the others. Scared of this one now. That's about what I expected. I pushed the brake pedal maybe like 40-50% there. So not crazy hard on the brakes there. A little bit steadier there. But yeah, the brake balance does need some adjusting on this one, for sure. Sick angle though. Whoa! Again, that was not me pushing the brake pedal very hard, so... Yeah, overall the car is decent. The engine is about adequate. The straight line performance at least. It turns in decently, but the brake balance is way off. So this is not ideal. Next up, the Belge. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's do the same thing as we do on everybody else's car. (2020). Lock the diff. And go. Whoa, it wobbles around like crazy. Like, it's extremely soft, apparently. Yeah. And even breathe on the throttle and it spins. That was like 30% throttle there. How can you spin in a straight line? Does it wobble as much as a Supercron? Almost, actually. Man, yeah, it's with the automatic locker, it's just too much slip though. Darrow was actually lifting off the throttle and making very slight steering input so that it wouldn't spin out on me. Even then it wanted to slide. Yeah, that was probably too late on the brakes for this corner, no? Yeah, this car has too much power for what it can handle. I'm really feeding in the throttle carefully there and slowly, but it can't put it down. Like, the weight distribution of 63% front, 37% rear, 442 horsepower. That's too much for this car, it can't handle it. Yeah, like, power is good. Too much power is not good. We have an example of this here. Like, even I was never really going above 50% throttle input there, and you saw what happened. Sideways everywhere. Wherever you look, you know, even if you just breathe on the throttle in one of the lower gears, it's gonna kick sideways, and you're lucky if you don't spin. So, even though it can be fun if you can manage to keep control of it, well, if you can't, then you're basically dead. Dude, your diff, what? Yeah, the diff is on, of course, but why would you have a diff if you're not gonna use it? That's my philosophy on that one. If you don't want me to use the diff, then put a diff on it. Simple as that. Next up, this one, the Pegasus Super 8. It's not actually slow, despite only making 160 horsepower. That was me being late on the brakes, that's not the car. You're styling very classic on this one. Open diff is still... I mean, yeah, okay, if you're being technical. But you know what I mean. If you're gonna select a locker diff in automation, then I'm going to use it in Beam. Otherwise, there's no point in having the locker diff, right? This drives fairly smoothly. It doesn't actually have that much power, but that's not a bad thing because it doesn't like kick the rear out as quickly as the previous car did. It does fall short on a long straight compared to the other cars, sure. But remember, this is a 1960 sports car. Considering that, it did this fairly well. Yeah, we've had faster cars, but compared to what it would be going up against in real life, it does well. It's fine. Handled that corner very, very well, actually. Even with the diff, that was full throttle. Wait, I braked too early there. Yeah, this drives well, actually. It's light and nimble. Doesn't actually kick the tail out as much. Has nice grip despite only 175mm tires all around, which is the smallest tires we've seen on any car. It can still drift if you want to. But yeah, this is an example where the locker diff doesn't actually hurt the car's balance. I like this one. Good job. Yeah, 175 is about realistic. Yeah, I agree. Pigeon V8 Roadster, let's see. Keep in mind this challenge is all about fighting the Mercedes 307 in the E-Type. 250 for a base 300 or 265 horsepower for the Jag, yeah. Yeah, the 300 SL in 1955 was the fastest car, pretty much, with 215 horsepower. Like, it was... For the time, it was, like... It was a supercar, no questions asked. Why does this car keep spinning its tires? Even when we're already going so quickly. I think this was the one with medium tires, wasn't it? Ferrari at the time, yeah, with the Ferrari 250. This car, by the way, how does it drive? I think the brake balance is a little bit off. The engine feels strong. Car feels very light. Yeah, brake balance is off. Definitely. I think this is the car with the medium tires that we've had. There was one, and I think it was this one. But overall it still feels agile, and apart from the brake balance, it's decent. Can't quite put the power down the way that some others have done. But it's not bad, this one. Yeah, it's okay. Next one. The RB Type S 4000. Very loud engine, even in idle. It's a V12 if I remember correctly. Come on. Come on, give me 20. There we go. Yep, V12. Good traction actually off the line. And it's fast. Okay, that was early on the brakes there. Didn't know how the brakes were gonna be on this. Understeer. Very hard understeer through the middle of that corner. again, very hard understeer through there. I mean, the engine pulls hard, the brakes are good, the brake balance is good, but I believe that this car just understeers a little bit too much. I mean, there it was fine because I lifted a little bit. It's either that or oversteer. I guess so, but... yeah. Yeah, I don't like the understeer on this one. I wasn't expecting this to be so understeery. Because this has like 330 horsepower or something like that. I expected this to be a lot... Yeah, there we go. A lot more like that, really. It's fast, of course, but... doesn't have any torque. And, yeah. I mean... what if the customers don't want to die from hitting a tree? Well, if you go straight on in the corner rather than around it, then you're also gonna hit a tree, most likely. So... the brake balance was good on this for the most part. But the suspension could use a little bit more work. I think those rear tires were just too wide, like 265s, I believe it was in this one. Yeah, that's too much. The Royd Panther V12. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna test all cars for top speed. Because we're already 2 hours in in this stream, because we've had a lot of entries. And let's see how this does, because this is like the 2.7 liter V12, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Sounds like it. Whoa! That was like 25% throttle. No idea what went wrong there. Keep spinning the tire. It doesn't even have... like, it has like 280-ish horsepower, 290. So that is quite a lot for 1960, of course. So I'm not gonna say anything about that, but... it is pretty fast. Handled that pretty nicely. Whoa, a little bit of a jiggle afterwards. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps losing traction in the higher speeds, despite actually having a little lip on the back. Still spinning. Yeah, no one went for an inline six. Look, it's still spinning the wheel. I think this has about the most wheel spin we've seen in any car. Overall, it doesn't drive badly, but I don't know what happens in the higher speeds. I don't know why it's so unstable. And I advise you to put the pedal position app somewhere on the screen that way you can see what you're doing. I mean, I can do that, but it's a little bit late now, isn't it? User interface, customize UI app, another one. So where do we have the pitch, performance, time, pedals, and axis? I guess I could use this. Like here or something. Gonna make it bigger if I can. Okay. But yeah, I want to like this one, but it does weird things once you get to a certain speed. The Sportive Agente, let's see how this does. And again, this has the a locker diff, so I'm gonna use that. Again, you saw that was how much throttle? 50%. And then I took off some while trying to balance it, but it was impossible. This does pull hard once it does go. But yeah, again, I can't say too much about the automatic locker, because some other cars have been using that quite well. Okay, now here's the brake balance that should be adjusted apparently. Tiny little drift here. Ouch. Yeah. Very easy to break this one loose. Yeah. Idea for the next gen delivery vans. Yeah, a delivery vehicle. I mean, if I do anything like that, then I'm probably not going to test them on the automation track, because there's really no point. Yeah, the styling on this one is fairly simple, very 60s-esque. While the front maybe isn't, but... Yeah, the brake balance and the locker diff killed this one, so this is not ideal. And then we still have the Thompson TV12, which I believe was by Sergeant Snoopy. Family sport wagons. Yeah, it could also be something that we could do. So, last but not least, this one. Wow, the wheel spin. Oh yeah, this was the one with the weird gearing, wasn't it? Aren't we also supposed to be getting the content update this week? What content update? Oh. 1974 Taxi. Are you gonna do drag racing? No, I don't think so, because these cars aren't really about drag racing anyway. And we're already way past the amount of time that I would have liked to spend on this, but I'm very happy that we got this many entries, honestly. Okay. A little scary. Yeah, it does like to, like, you could feel the lack of downforce in the higher speeds. I mean, most cars back then had that, basically, like, the lack of downforce. So, I guess you would just have to be extremely careful where you're going that fast. Most of them had lived that speed, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying this as like a point of criticism, but we've had cars that did the slingshot flat out at a comparable speed. So that is where this one falls behind those. Overall, it drives nicely. Yeah, overall, this drives pretty well. So if we're gonna do my favorite three, let's see. I'm not quite done yet. I've really liked this. I've really liked this. And I've really liked this one. In terms of handling, I think this would take the crown, actually. It's light, it's nimble, it put the power down well despite the automatic locker. It did allow for some drift if you really wanted to, but it remained controllable. And, you know, 160 horsepower is among the lowest we have here, but it's enough for 1960. And I wouldn't necessarily call it slow, because it's light. So, handling-wise, I really like this one. The C2 Corvette was notorious for... yeah, obviously. I mean, it would probably be unfair to make a top speed test between the top three cars that I've named, because this is by far the least powerful. But, oh, man. Tough choice. Top speed would be a joke, yeah. It's not 160 kilometers an hour, it's 160 horsepower. Yeah, 160 horsepower is what this makes. This is a lot less this is about the lowest that we've had in the challenge, but it is still, I think, adequate for a 1960 sports car. I mean, do we do it purely on handling? Do we do it on... You know what, I'm gonna go to the bigger track with the free cars that we have available. I'm gonna go to this track. Yeah, under 8 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in automation, of course. Where were you able to go that fast? Yeah, that's another good point. There was I don't think the Autobahn existed in its current form yet in 1960, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, I don't want to spawn here. I want to spawn... You know what? Let's do it a little bit faster. Where is the... Where's the drag strip? That's where I want to spawn. I think it's... Wait, where are we? Oh, I know where we are now. Okay, so we want to go this way. I'm gonna park this car properly, so that all the other cars can be... I want to test the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour times of these three cars as well. Wait. .3. I think first gear might be too long on this one. 6.2. Let's see about the other two. 6.2 is very quick though, I have to say. But I think it could be quicker if first gear wasn't this long. 5.87. Mostly because of the shoulder gearing. 5.82. Okay. Okay. 5.8 then. And then this. It's unfair. I mean, $6.4. What are you crying about? $6.4, yeah, that's a very good time. Yes, the Cobra was a little bit faster, but you know, for 1960, this is still crazy. Pretty much. So let's go to the... let's actually just head right over to the track. Very nimble, very agile. And it doesn't feel underpowered necessarily. Very beautiful drifts. That was me looking at chat, not the car understeering, so I just turned in too late because I was focusing on chat. That was a little bit wonky, but see no oversteer there. Beautiful. Like this is just even though this is about the least powerful car, it is very, very good to drive because it doesn't have more power than what it can handle. Okay, let's do this and go into the other cars once again to test them on one lap. around here, the other two cars, and then I'll make my conclusion. Immediately this feels faster, more powerful. But also a bit more loose. Oh, okay. Little wall tap there. Still okay. I mean, it still feels good. It's a little bit more wobbly, which is a little bit more loose, which is, you know, not really something you can criticize a 1960 car for. But considering that the other car was a little bit tighter, a little bit more planted most of the time, that has to give it an advantage, right? This does have more torque though. And power, so... it's difficult to say. The other car... What about Prestige? I think the other car was like 42, something like that. So it was still a V8, just not as large of a V8. So it's not bad. 35? Really? You had more than 35, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna check the prestige stats once again in automation afterwards. Wow, this... There it understeered quite heavily under braking. Again. Overall, this feels very light and agile, though, and a lot more powerful than the Pegasus Super 8. Maybe it was just me, though. The two occasions where I said this, where I may have just locked up the brakes. still feels like it has some good traction. That was my bad. I'm not a huge fan of. Oh yeah. Okay, that was entirely my mistake. Yeah. That was my bad. I should have braked for that corner. Yeah, the look is important too, which is where I think this car falls short compared to the other two finalists, if you will. It is the fastest accelerating one. Man. Tough choice, man. Tough choice, but I'm gonna put this in third place. The reason being, well, the looks. So, let me see. Who made this car? Congratulations to Bula 101 for third place. I don't remember how much prestige the Pegasus Sport 8 had. I might want to go back to automation and check. Because this is pretty much what it's gonna come down to, who takes first place. Because I like the way that both cars look, and I like the way that both cars drive. I slightly prefer the way that the Pegasus drives, but let's see about the prestige stats. I'm gonna have to delete so many cars after this stream, man. Like from my automation, the main menu list, because it's just getting way too full there. Just for some better overview. If automation would load a little bit more quickly, then we would know the answer to the question of who's gonna win this community challenge. But it doesn't want to load at the moment for whatever reason. I mean, it is... Okay, there we go. So, I remember that the Avalon Venus had 42 prestige, okay. And then the... Where is it? Pegasus Super 8 only has 34. Okay. This is not making it easy on me. Yeah, the Avalon Venus is going to win this community challenge. It does not handle quite as well as the Pegasus, but it does have a much better prestige, better power. It's more competitive. It's more comparable to the E-Type in terms of the power output, and to the 300 SL than the Pegasus is. The Pegasus is a very, very good car, and it gets second place in this community challenge. But this is going to be the winner. Congratulations to Sedan 57 Chevy. Great job. Thanks everyone for competing. I tend to explore any car I want to keep and then keep a folder of all the cars. Just input back in whenever I want to check. Yeah, that's another method you could do it. Congratulations to Sedan 57 Chevy for winning this community challenge. Overall, this is the most rounded car in my opinion. It does have a good amount of power for 1960, but it can use most of it. It handles well, it looks good, it looks error correct as well. And it gets good prestige, good sportiness, and it remains fairly drivable for most people. So that is why this wins the community challenge. And except the Jag and Mercedes weren't just sports cars, they were the most prestigious car you could buy at the time. They were really the supercars. And when it comes to supercars, they do need prestige. Yeah, that's true. So this is gonna be it. This is gonna be this community challenge. I will be streaming again tomorrow. At 6 p.m. GMT, just like today. And I hope to see you guys on tomorrow's stream as well. Thank you for watching today. Hope you're having a good rest of your day. And hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye bye.